For over 200 years, a closed family system passed on from generation to generation has now been incorporated with other styles from Indonesia into the Perkutan Association of Pencak Silat. We now present this devastating art for the first time to the public. Pencak Silat is one of the most deadly and efficient martial art ever developed. It is a very harsh system which utilizes many body levers and angles to destroy an opponent. Because of their understanding of the body mechanics, Silat practitioners are able to take down opponents with little effort. This often gives first-time viewers the mistaken impression that it is staged or that the techniques are not practical. The late Bruce Lee had tremendous respect for this art, for which he later borrowed techniques to incorporate into his Jeet Kune Do. And the world-renowned Dan Inosanto has described it as one of the most devastating arts he has ever studied. Traditional training usually followed the rhythmic beat of gamelan, the native music of Indonesia. Not only soothing to the ear, it provided the very tempo necessary for training. We are proud to present the world-renowned Wenten Gamelan Orchestra performing traditional Indonesian musical pieces.
Hi, I am Mahaguru Victor de Thouars, and we are bringing this tape of Pencak Silat to you. And hopefully, after you have watched this tape, you may have some insight to Pencak Silat itself.
During the early history of Indonesia, many martial arts styles began to flourish and take on their own unique shape. One of the deadliest styles was that of Serak, which was created by Pak Serak, or the Wise One, who lived from 1780 to 1878 within the isolated mountain tribe of the Baduy. Although a cripple, Pak Serak trained in 9 different martial arts styles. Taking the most effective techniques from each, and with the help of his main student Mas Jut, who had originally trained in the Kilap style of nerve center strikes, a complete system was organized. Pencak Silat was eventually passed on from Mas Jut to Johan de Vries, a Europeaner. Years later, John and Ernest de Vries, nephews of Johan, started their training with Mas Jut. John de Vries eventually became the Pendekar, or Master of the Art, with the passing of Mas Jut in 1930, and Ernest became the Maha Guru, or Master Teacher. In 1970, Pendekar John retired, appointing Paul de Thouars his successor. Having studied with his uncle since the age of 6, Pendekar Paul brought the art to the U.S. His primary student and first disciple, Maha Guru Victor de Thouars, will follow as a Pendekar's successor when he retires. Having trained with a Pendekar for over 37 years, Maha Guru Victor has been a major force in exposing to the public the closed-door system of Pencak Silat. He has accomplished this by creating an intermediate system called Tongkat, which did not require the student to follow the stringent traditional customs and rituals, but which maintains a rigorous training and devastating techniques which are trademarks of Silat.
What we're going to be talking about is just the basic wear that we in our family will use in our Silat system of Serak or Tongkat, or Tongkat Bledak in essence. The basic family has adopted one thing, is basically the white tops and of course the black area pants. Indonesian pants then would be sometimes coming up even up to here. But since we in the Western world, we like to be sometimes a little bit stylish. The sarong, basically concerned, is really a Badui cloth from the Badui people. It comes from the Badui area, actually, where this particular system of Serak is basically originated. And that's basically common dress there that Silat players would use is the sarong or the garb. And this particular item is the what you call the sash. It's to the family system, specialized, like almost like a sect, but not really a sect. It's a secretive help for so many years. And this then belonging to the family of the symbol itself, the eagle, and then the tiger, and of course the Serak as being the parent system what we do. And of course, if we go into the Tongkat system that the Pendekar Paul de Thouars has assigned me for, that's basically again the old sign of what you call for Tongkat teachers or for teachers, the old kilap, meaningly lightning, and of course the krisis, and then the siku-siku or the symbol of the truncheon or truncheon weapon called siku-siku, or what you call sai in the Western world. But this, as it is an Indonesian weapon. And of course, as we can see, the weapon of the system, as we can see on top of the left side, basically no other patches allowed. And as you can see, just basically black pants, be able to move along, and thus done the uniform, as you can see, of the Silat player. And of course, in the back, as you can see, is what we have, a symbol that symbolizes the Indonesian art of self-defense, pukulan, Pencak, Silat, and thus then what we call the adaptive wear that we use, the white tops, the sashes, or the sash rather, and the sarong, and of course the secretively weapon that we've used through the years. And of course, if you can see in the back, there's a lot of story behind that. And as you can see and notice, basically the kris, it's stored in the back, is somewhat to hide, basically. So let's talk about a little bit about the kris, as we can see. To draw it, with tradition, I basically asked permission to draw it. And I basically say, may I draw? And I would ask for to be drawn, go past by my head, and draw again. As you can see, the kris itself was not used, is a weapon not used basically to chop. Kris makers in Indonesia today are called, even in the old days, called impus, as you can see. Indonesia around the year 700 BC, or maybe just a little bit later, was bombarded with a lot of meteorites, and meteorite consisting of the nickel iron. And then the smith then would basically fashion a blade, either straight or wavy, and it's very sharp, and it's almost like a Damascus, you would say, but not really a Damascus. It's layers for layers, and it's up to each impu has its own signature. This particular kris, as you can see, has the elephant's configuration, and of course this sharp handle, of course, on this end. So as you can see then, this kris is basically poison in the olden days. So it was not used for chopping again, but basically for slashing. For kick, step aside, to the side, and basically slash and thrust. Same thing with a parry, more like when someone hits, slash, thrust. And again, this of course also being weapon can be used. The butt end, kick, hook, kick would come, hook, or a hit would come, hook, and then slash, and then thrust. So it was a slashing weapon and a thrusting weapon, to thrust actually. In the olden days, these things were also used to execute people. And although this is not an executioner kris, an executioner kris would be long and slender. They would make the victim actually kneel down on its knee, and it basically, the kris by the executioner would be actually thrust over here and straight to the heart. Of course, that would be done with a straight kris. It's called the executioner kris.
My name is Julie de Thouars, and I'm here to talk to you about the intricacies of an advanced stretching program. Here to help me is Guru Bob Vanetta. He's one of the teachers from the Denver area. He's going to be going through a variety of exercises. What I'm going to be explaining is the theory behind the exercises that he's doing. First of all, I want to tell you the story of about something that happened to me back in the early 70s when I was a young student. I was training in a martial art class at the time, and the whole class was stretching on the wall. Everybody would take the partner's leg and help to put it up to the wall. The instructor was going around and taking the student's leg and forcing it to the wall. And he said, "Come on, you guys, come on, you're all lazy with your stretching. You should do better with that. Get your foot up to the wall." So it came to my turn, and I had just watched everybody else with pain in their faces. I'd watched him, and it came to my turn, and he took my leg, and he forced it to the wall, and I heard a snap and a pop, and I said, "Oh, no, there goes my ligament, my tendon." And to this day, I can still feel the injury in my leg. That was the old days of power stretching. Now it's my feeling that the public has become better informed as to the fundamentals of exercise. There are a lot of publications out on the market today to help inform the public of all the different things that are needed for a good exercise program. Just take a look at the Weider publications that are on the market today, everything from Muscle Magazine to Shape for women and men. So there's all types of literature on the market today to help you understand about a good physical fitness program. What I want to talk to you about are some of the fundamentals of a stretching routine. First, we're going to start with what is referred to as range of motion. What is flexibility? What it is first of all, it's regulated by 4 factors. First, it's ligament and tendon flexibility. Second is elasticity of the tissue. Third is bone and joint structure. And fourth is skin and the bulk around the area that you're trying to stretch. Whenever you're doing a stretching routine, you need to create an overload on the muscle that you're working. And an overload applied to a stretching program is arrived by holding the stretch for 15 to 60 seconds. What you see Bob doing here is he's just demonstrating a variety of the exercises that we use to warm up our class. Now, in the class, he would be sitting there and he would be holding it for 15 to 60 seconds. By doing this, you are protecting your muscles by not activating what's called a muscle spindle. Your muscle itself has a mechanism in it that's going to create a safety factor for your muscle. It's not going to allow it to become injured. So when you're stretching too far, or you're bobbing, or you're bouncing, which is referred to as a ballistic stretch, that activates the muscle spindle. When the muscle spindle is activated, the muscle contracts, preventing you from stretching it any further. When you do a slow stretch and you hold it for a sustained period of time, 15 to 60 seconds, that does not activate the muscle spindle. That way you're able to achieve a better flexibility when you're working out on your program. Power stretching, a lot of times people will do a stretch and they'll do a lot of heavy bouncing, or they'll try to take it to further than they feel that they can. When you do a power stretch, it does activate the muscle spindle, which could be detrimental to your stretching ability. The other thing I'd like to talk to you about is muscle soreness. There are 2 types of soreness when you work out. You can get the soreness from an immediate workout or a prolonged soreness, which is 24 to 48 hours after your workout. On the immediate workout, what happens is you get a buildup of lactic acid in your body, or waste and toxins. And this does not allow the chemical reaction in the muscle to happen the way it should. The only way that this can be eliminated from your body is to rest for 30 to 60 minutes, and then the soreness will be gone. Or you might have to take as long as 24 to 48 hours for that lactic acid to be cleansed from your body. The way that these exercises apply and these theories apply to our martial arts is we use a very long warm-up period in the beginning of the class where the stretches are held for the 15 to 60 seconds. So the exercises that you see Guru Bob doing are a variety of things that we have in our training program. There are a number of exercises you can choose from. Now in the next segment you're going to see Guru Vanetta and Guru Victor de Thouars showing you some of the unique stretching exercises that are unique to our training program. Thank you.
In stretching, the one thing that we must keep in mind that not all or everyone basically has the ability or has the flexibility. So there's a need for partner stretching. And what is very important, and what we're doing right now, we're going into it right now, is basically what you call a partner stretch. You basically let the student in such a way stretch as much as possible, and if the student is not able to do this, try to be as much forceful until the student can take it, and basically tell the student, tap your hand if it becomes somewhat painful. So in a helping sense then, it's also very important not to hard push on here, because then the validity of the stretch then is totally lost then. So to train a body to be more pliable, so to say, you help a student. And the way we do that is basically push on your lower or your lumbar region right here, and basically so that the basic vertebrae right here, or this part of the body, becomes somewhat straight. So this is basically, if you do it like this is cheating. You have not accomplished anything. So it is very important to basically try to keep the back as straight as possible, and then basically push on this and push very gently, just guide the student basically, and we're going down. And if it becomes too much, the student will pile, and that's done what we call the helping of the region then in partner stretching. What we will be dealing with is somewhat different what you might have seen, and that's what we call the Silat, Sempok and Dempoks. This is to basically, if I may have you, Mr. Bob, is basically stretch this area. In Indonesia, people sat in a cross-sit position, what we call basically cross-sit position, somewhat differently. Why don't you go sit? And this, people ate here, people basically conversed, and when they're in the villages, people just basically sat in there. But in a fighting sense, this position is not vulnerable at all. People were able to get up quickly from it. So basically, in training then, the student would go through a basically turn and turn around, turn, and this would be practiced hours and hours. And to do this quickly, and he would go back and forth. Now let's discover now, what is it now? Let's go into Silat, Bob. Well, to do this then properly, if you take this away so people can see that basically, you'll rock basically forward, as you all can see it, and rock basically on the lower knee, as you can see, and I have Mr. Fanetta basically turn around so they basically can see in the other way. Go the other way. And what he will do is basically rock on the lower portion of the leg first. In other words, on his bottom leg. If you turn this way a little bit, and you can see it. So it's basically, it is this leg that they basically rock forward first. So if you go up, you can see that. So again, make the turning around. What you call the basic Silat then. That's to train the student to have and gain agility. Now let's do some Sempok and Dempoks. Going back and forth. And again, teaching the student agility again. Let's do it one more time. So it's basically back, forward, and forward. And doing in such method that it doesn't become a monotone. But let's see, for instance, now, is this vulnerable? Would the person be vulnerable if he would sit like that? Go ahead, go in a Silat, and let's do one, and let's say an attack is done, and or in this method, how about a kick? Okay. So in other words, no, it is not. This particular position is not vulnerable then. But how do we get to that point, basically, of not being vulnerable? It takes practice. And how is this accomplished? Let's say before a class starts, well, you would do 50 of these particular Silats, and then kick up, down, kick up, down, kick up. Now with the left, it may seem repetitious, but it's one of those things that you really have to bred into yourself. And let's discover what actually must happen. Look, what there, not to cheat, you actually must really sit on your gluteus maximus to get this full effect and range and gain the leg strength to obtain that particular agility. Now you can come up, kick out, back down again, and then kick out. So thus then obtaining the leg strength and the agility and a very, very deceptive move of your Silat. This done the part of stretching of the Silats of Silat. Thank you. Due to the complexity of the jurus, the movement, or the fundamentals of Silat, we will cover those items in a separate tape. In application, a man hits. Again, the basic block is also what you call the advanced block. As I will do this, notice, coming forward. So if the man hits, and discover from this, there is no running away. So in other words, the philosophy of this particular system is not block and then hit, or block, hit, or block, hit. No, it's done in one motion. Block and hit at the same time. So leaving no tails to be untold, because this is somewhat out of their reach then. When it's done on the inside particular use, it's the hit is done directly per se, in somewhat of application. So in what you call philosophy, what you call a total destruction, this could be done, and basically the vertebrae being then ripped off in a sense of the body then, or breaking the neck area in a particular sequential techniques that we have. It's basically the hit, and then basically then the twisting off of the neck area then of the little body over here. So then in application, the hit is done. This, many things could be done. A little faster. Breaking this arm, using my own neck for leverage. A little slower. The hit, of course, this hit is done. The hit is done brushing over here. And again, using my neck, my own leg for leverage, to basically dislodge this arm out of the socket. And of course, knees, breaking like that, and sweeping, especially sweeping. Now as you can see that this particular arm then would be in a precarious position, thus therefore ripping the arm out of its socket. Man is hit, draw, and holding the man, or holding the man again in a fashion of technical essence or application, so not the man to be suffering, or and I'm just basically ripping the feet off. That is in a sense not destroying your opponent, but in a sense somewhat in a saving mode, or Peace. Going down, restraining, or peace. Dragging the man down and sweeping. Again, using the philosophy to restrain your opponent in such sense, but not really using devastating items to it. Man hits. Again, the basic or the advanced blow. Block and at the same time. From this region right here, and not to withdraw, basically coming under the neck. It's rather quick, making sure that this man has no recourse but to take it. The block is very, very difficult. If he's able to block this particular one, he blocks off, then this is still there. And of course, turning the man around and bringing him down. So done in a faster motion then, peace! Again in a slow. If he blocks this off again, then this is here. Peace! Or from the outside. The blocking again, discovering, and then notice this hand coming up, and of course the sweeping. Always being in contingency in this particular system, always the awareness where the legs are. While the hand is moving, the observation of the practitioner is always toward the leg. Is in this position, using the levers, using the back sweep, or in this particular fashion, where this is already doing the damage, and what my teacher always has said, this area with the hand being tenderized, forward, and then sweeping. Okay. What is there being used again is again the basic block, but from the inside. And then basically strangling or keeping the man at bay, and then basically coming in with a strike. But again, not using this horizontal strike underneath. What it also could be used from the inside, again, restraining the man or using the technique to bring the man down. Many ways 4 could be performed from the outside, and again, it's either 4 with this one or in the choosing of this one, using again the attitude of 4, or when a kick is done, and a kick at the same time, again using the attitude of 4. How? The hit and the kick is again using your own neck area basically to use as a lever, and basically to break down the strength of that particular gentleman. If I want to again mention attack this, if I would attack this area, this area comes into being. If I want to attack this lower area and I hit this basically comes forward. So with that in mind, if the hit comes very slowly and I draw in, what have I done? I have drawn the body in. Not only that, this becomes very vulnerable. What they call the occipital in the brain area is exactly this area, which is called the occipital. So like a little plate. And in demonstration, in breaking, hitting this area rather, is very damaging and able to crush and kill the opponent. And also, of course, the area of this area. This would basically destroy the opponent's skull. And to be graphically employed with breaking a coconut, let's say. So in Judo 5 again, the attitude or the philosophy is to bring your opponent toward you for the reason to bring him toward you, so you can also use either the lower frontal sweeps or the back sweeps. So in short then, Juru 1 is total destruction. Juru 2, if it's hit, it is rather to avoid and make the force go somewhere else, and then basically to either sweep or hold or to restrain, bring the man down and then restraining. So application, so of to do what? Application of the practitioner either to eliminate, destroy, or not to destroy. That is up to each and every individual what his wishes could be. It's always not good to destroy a human or another creature, but in different situations, it takes different methods or means. So that is up to every individual for his own discretion. Now let's see what it does. Let's say the hit kicks, it could be a straightforward attack to destroying of the bone structure, basically where the hit is being done. That's basically to this area right here. And again, the knuckles that we use in Silat is basically the center knuckle only. So the application of what you call total force on a little area. So you get the more effective means. So in a hitting, this area is being hit, where the soft part of the leg is. A faster move, and then of course the rehabilitating again. Or how is it possible that a leg could be caught? Well, in training we have a little training, and basically it gets kicked down here, and some of it hurts and some of it doesn't. Kick over here, this area right here. Okay, and now kick. Basically trying to reach underneath the kick. Kick faster. If you do happen to get kicked in your chest, that's just a little bit what you call tough luck. If you get hit in the body area, that's all right. Tough luck. In a real fight, that would be good to your advantage. So, in a real fight, I have him. Many things. I can tickle him, go on knee, tickle him, or sweep him down and break him. So there then, the advantages of using avoidance rather. And then if you really get mad, let me hold Guru Bob so he won't fall too hard, then actually sweeping back and forth. This would be done a violent act trying to break his back. That would be then called trying to break the area, what you call this area. So it's not designed to destroy. It's rather designed to alleviate the force from my body by stepping sideways first and then using the hands. So again, the force away. And yes, you are able to catch kicks. Kicks are somewhat slower than hands. Many ways to kick or many ways to catch. And the training basically dictates one thing in Silat. Very slow. The connection. Let it connect. So you have feelings sometimes. If it knocks the wind out of you, again, it's called tough luck. The toughening and the training is the important factor how to win. Physical combat is not fun, and physical combat has one thing in mind, is to win. So the philosophy of the parent system, Silat Serak, Tongkat, or most system in Silat, is one thing, especially with Serak. The kick is done, yeah, you have me, but I have you. Yes, it does hurt, but I have him. There is no negotiating whatever he wants to do. I can turn and he can fall. And it really is not too much better. And the hitting is done when it comes what you call tenderizing. When he does kick, the hitting is done. And again, the tenderizing, starting with the toes, tenderizing. That's why it's so very important to training and training, training. What my teacher always said, tenderize these things first. The weapons, these. Then when you come slowly coming up to the what you call the computer center of a human body, the head. And in graphically, then we can demonstrate in breaking many things. One graphic thing that we will do is breaking of the coconut that will graphically then exploit the head area of a skull. And thus then somewhat of the application of jurus silat and the jurus in silat. Thank you. And an important phase in silat training is the long forms, and Guru Bab will do a long form called Langkah Monyet. There the student will learn the contraction, the torquing of the body. In other words, the student on the murid will learn his body. You'll see Bob doing a greeting, heavy leg sweeps, and the smashing of the hands basically indicates retaliatory action to a 1-2 move. There you see him doing that again. It's actually isometric training in hitting to gain power. And of course the smashing of the elbow, exactly the same action. High kicking toward the inside to the arms, torquing, calling the silat, in silat calling silos. Again you see the high smash. Again, a lot of low sweeps, as you see, a lot of isometric hits that you can see, the pulling and dragging. Therefore, then, the Langkah Monyet. Here we can see the long form called the dragon form or the naga. The greeting in itself is depicting humbleness for the art. The slow movement of the hand movement or the punching is isometric training to gain power, and also the breathing, where it really teaches your stomach or the person how to breathe and relax and be in time with himself and his body. And here we can see then the Langkah Naga or long form. Langkah Harimau. Here we can see the tiger form or Langkah Harimau, the greeting, power being exerted with the claws, the continual of silos, the slyness of the low movement of the tiger, and the lashing out at the opponent. Again, heavy isometric being used, the back sweep, and the decoyness, the slyness of this particular form. Langkah Harimau. Go.
Ready, John?
Hey!
Pendekar called the Thouars. Standing here with Guru Tuan Inosanto. I give him the title of Guru Tuan because he's heavily involved with the popularization of America.
In the system of Silat Tongkat, there's 3 variations being used as far as sticks concerned. Tongkat, meaningly the carrier or the carrying stick, or to carry. We basically use 3 types of stick. In this particular tapes that you have purchased, we will be dealing with the long staff or panjang, what I will be dealing with in a minute. This is what we call the machan, or the tiger stick. And the way this is basically measured in length, so you get the right, correct stick or length for you, is basically as a stick just about the length to your groin section. And in the kecil or tongkat machan, the way this is used is basically the tail, or the buntut is what it's called. It's basically like a tail section. And the way that is handled is basically a hand and 2 fingers. And that's basically held that way in this method. The tail, the tiger, what we call the philosophy. And that's basically held for basically hooking. If someone hooks, again from down here and then hitting, or hooking in that sense, and using it in a variety of fashion. The next one is basically used in a fashion what we call the setenga, although it doesn't look like half, but that's what it's called. It basically comes up to your chest area, or area rather, and that's what you call the setenga, or the half sticks. What is usually also used is usually also as walking canes, but also used for the drum, or what you call the watchman, use a stick or similar stick as this, and he would hit the drum with it in the village if a thief comes to our house. And that's what these things are used. The different attitudes of fighting are well seen. But like as I said, the items that we will be using, or the technical essence, will be the long stick. And that's the quality panjang, or the long staff. And the way this is measured basically, since each and every individual is different in length, or height rather, is basically used the staff, and then basically the 4 fingers from his shoulders on, and then you get the right length for your panjang stick. Well, through experience, it's been found that it is rather to, instead of using this way or this way, a right-handed person basically to have his hand in such a fashion and up this way and upper above of his left hand. And the other way, if he is a left-handed person, goes in reverse. Why? For the simple reason You're able to rake and have the mobility to move. Again, the person has able to rake off, hit, or to rake off and hit, stripping the opponent then from his stick. Some basic technical essence that can be used. The stick can be held in such a fashion like so. Why? The twirling, it's basically protection, help, raking, and always raking, trying to rake the opponent's stick out of his hands. So then that's done the mobility of the stick. Again, the horizontal motion of the hitting and the raking and then hitting and then raking again. So to demonstrate in this particular fashion, if he hits, this thing is being raked, the hit is done, and the raking is done loose. And again, showing that in a fashion, in reality, this would be done this way, the hit, and as Silat dictates, my whole body or being will be traversing toward this person, using the sweeps, and bringing the person down, and sticking with this person, and not letting your opponent go. Again, another fashion would be using the inside, basically, and using the tail section. The one that we had before was the front section. And again, you can see how this can shoot through, or the tail section. And using the rake in such a fashion, hitting the man at the same time. So it is again the tail section blocking the force of this particular stick off, hitting the man at the same time, and raking the man off, or the stick, and again hitting at the same time. Another fashion when the stick's held like this is to hit in there and go across. Or hitting the man this way, hitting in this, and going like this. So many different modes can be used. But for the true fighter to think is only the simplest movements will work. Any hard or difficult movement cannot be used because of leverage. How will this look? If I'm too far away and I'm trying to hook him, if that man outweighs me, I will lose and the rebuttal is done. That's why it is never done in a long range. It's always, boom, inside, get in, and there I have my opponent. Or, boom, inside, and I have my opponent. So somewhat in a fashion of speed, we use what you call a practice stick. A practice stick is less prettier, but somewhere along the line that lasts a little bit longer. I will use a practice stick. And sticks like this may not look pretty, but for duration of practice, they may last a little longer. So in a movement, 1, 8, 8. Again, the student will learn what? The block, 8, 8. Again, the block, 8, 8. Block, 8, 8. Block, 8, 8. Without give, 8, 8. Almost like a blindly. Now what next? Well, you learn the raking. Let me do it a little slower. The hitting is done, and then the raking. Up above, again, that is being used. The hit. Moving in. Again. Slow. The hit is made. Again, let the body move in. Blocking this thing off, this section off, so no retaliatory action can be done to you. Stepping in, hitting around the throat, and let the man go. So in a little faster motion, and always defeating your purpose or defeating the opponent to the ground. If you leave him up, his ability to return and to fight you is more of a chance. Another technique that we might have is to hit, kick, this into the groin section, and sweep. Turn the other way then, in a sense. So in that sense then, some of the basis of basic stick fighting or technical essence that we have. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed our tape of Pencak Silat. I would like to thank, though, the people who are involved. First of all, I would like to thank the people, or the man who basically designed the system again. Pak Serak, from long ago, Pendekar Mas Jut, Pendekar John de Vries, Pendekar Paul de Thouars, my teacher for over 37 years, Guru Julie de Thouars, who gave insight to stretching, and of course all of the Tongkat students who are currently teaching or participating, and of course great thanks to Guru Bob Vanetta, who helped me in making this tape possible, and also Thouars Video, who actually bring this tape to you. Again, watch out for upcoming movies or tapes produced by Thouars Video, and you will most likely see them in our marketplace, and look for them, order them. Again, gentlemen, ladies, I thank you. Salamat.